Hello, children. We'll continue the story How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. In the previous video, we have seen that the old lady was unable to visit Kashi because she has given all her savings to that orphan girl to get married. So she says that happiness of this orphan girl is more important than worshipping the Lord Vishweshwara at Kashi. Okay, we'll continue. My grandmother Kushtaka never went to school, so she could not read. Which means Sudhamurti's grandmother Kushtaka had never gone to school and she was not able to read. Every Wednesday, the magazine would come and I would read the next episode of the story to her. So Sudhamurti used to read the story for her grandmother, which would come every Wednesday because she doesn't know how to read it by herself. During that time, she would forget all her work and listen with the greatest concentration. So while listening the story, she left all her work aside and listened with the greatest concentration. Later, she could repeat the entire text by heart. My grandmother never went to Kashi, and she identified herself with the novel's protagonist, which means protagonist means it is the main character in the story that she had never gone to Kashi, but she would realize, the grandmother could realize the feel and lives in that character. Okay, so more than anybody else, she was one of the most interested in knowing what happened next in the story, and also used to insist that I read the serial out to her, which means her grandmother insisted her to read the story for her, and she was one of the most interested in knowing what happened next in the story. After hearing story, she used to join with her friends in the temple courtyard where children gathered to play hide and seek. And they used to discuss about the latest episode. But Sudhamurti never understood why so much debate about it. Once, Sudhamurti went for wedding with her cousins to the neighboring village. In those days, wedding was a great event. The children enjoyed themselves. They eat and play endlessly because there were nobody to stop them. Because all the elders were busy. Sudhamurti went for a couple of days but ended up staying there for a week. That means she stood there for a week. When she came back to her village, she saw her grandmother in tears. She was surprised and worried because she had never seen her cry even in most difficult situation. She asked her, Ava, is everything all right? Are you okay? She used to call her grandmother Ava, which means mother in Kannada language. She nodded, but she did not reply. Nodded means moving her head with the sign, but did not reply. She did not say anything. Sudhamurti did not understand, and after some time she forgot about it. In that night, after dinner, she was sleeping in the open terrace of her house, and it was a summer night, and there was a full moon. Her grandmother came and sat next to her. With affectionate, means lovingly, grandmother touched her forehead. At the time, Sudhamurti realized her grandmother wants to speak to her. So she asked her, what the matter, Ava? So now the grandmother is telling her the story, okay? And she told her why she was crying. When I was a young girl, I lost my mother. There was nobody to look after and guide me. My father was a busy man and got married again. In those days, people never considered education essential for girls. So I never went to school. I got married very young and had children. I became very busy. Later I had grandchildren and always felt so much happiness in cooking and feeding all of you. At times, I used to regret not going to school. So I made sure that my children and grandchildren studied well. So when she was young, when the grandmother was young, she lost her mother and her father again got married to another woman. And that time education for girls was not so important. So she was also got married at a very young age and got busy in her life with children and grandchildren and always felt so much happiness in cooking and feeding all in the family. After that, she used to regret for not going to school. So she made sure that her children and grandchildren could receive a very good education. Okay, that's all, and we'll continue the story in the next video.